So I want to tell you about a great example of leadership. The woman on the screen, her name was Osceola McCarthy. And right. And now, it's very easy for you or me to think because we have no title, we can't be a leader. But leadership is not just for CEOs and managing directors. The very fact that you are alive today, the very fact that you are a human being, means you have the responsibility in your work with this organization, in your business, with your family, in your community. You have a responsibility to show leadership. And if you fail to show leadership in your work and in your life, I think the world will be less of a place because of that. I also think if you were to ask me what's life all about, it's really only about two things. Number one, we are alive to realize our potential and to own the best within us. And the second purpose of life is once you own that inner leader inside of you, and once you realize your potential, and once you play at excellence, then you go out into the world and you help other people. So you, in part, make the world a better place. So please don't tell me I'm just an ordinary person from Moscow, or I'm just an ordinary person from Tel Aviv, or I'm just an ordinary person from Tokyo, or I'm just an ordinary person from Vancouver, or I'm just an ordinary woman or man from Novosibirsk. We all can lead, and here's a great example of that. The woman on the screen was 92 years old at the time she passed away. She lived a very difficult life. She'd faced one tragedy after another tragedy. She'd faced one hardship after another hardship. For the first 87 years of her life, she'd never left her home except to walk up to her grocery store to buy food. She never learned how to drive. She never even got married. And yet by the time she passed away at the age of 92, she'd been honored by world leaders. She'd met with prime ministers and presidents. She'd even received an honorary doctorate from Harvard University. So who was this woman? And why did she receive such acclaim? Well, here's her story. Ever since she was a young woman, she would take the coins and the money that she would make washing other people's dirty laundry, and she would go down to her local bank and make daily, seemingly insignificant contributions. You see, ladies and gentlemen, you might think that the little things you do every day don't make a difference. You might think that the thoughts you think, or your acts of courage by talking to someone new and telling them about the opportunity that is your business. You might think that an act of kindness, an act of courage, learning something new, you might think that the little things that you do every day don't make a difference. What I've realized is the little things are the big things. And by each day doing something excellent, doing something that innovates, doing something to build your business and improve your life, over time creates a great life. See, ladies and gentlemen, the days slip into weeks, the weeks slip into months, the months slip into years, and before you know it, you will be at the end of your life. And the CEO and the managing director gets buried next to the street sweeper. And before we know, we will all be dust. And all those fears and doubts and excuses that limit us right now will fall away. And at the end of your life, you'll be confronted with a single question. Did you use the gifts within you to help other people? And this woman every day would take the money she would make and she'd walk down to her bank and she'd make daily deposits and contributions. And this went on day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, until the decade slipped away. One day she was 87 years old and she walks into her local bank and the man behind the counter looks at her and he smiles. And he says, "Osceola, how are you?" And she says, "Fine." He says, "Osceola, do you have any idea how much money you have accumulated by those little deposits and contributions you've made every day for all these years?" And she said, "No." "Why don't you tell me?" He said, "Osceola, you have accumulated $250,000. Well, she didn't know how much money that was. She was just an ordinary woman. So the man behind the counter got an idea. He took out 10 coins and put them on the counter in front of Osceola. And he said, "Osceola, these 10 coins represent your money. What do you want me to do with it?" Well, she was a simple woman. She didn't know how much money that was. But then she pointed to the first coin and she said, "I want you to give that to the church." She pointed to the next 3 coins and said, "I want you to give these to my nieces and my nephews and my cousins and my family because I love them so much." And then a smile came to her face and she said, "As for the remaining 6 coins, I have something very special in mind." Ladies and gentlemen, 1 month later, the local university in Osceola McCarthy's hometown received a check from her for $150,000 with a handwritten note attached to it that said, "I would like you to set up a scholarship for poor children who still know how to dream." And that act of leadership, and that act of courage, and that act of excellence, and that act of humanity in a world that has forgotten that every single one of us can play big with our lives. We all can lead. You are built for greatness. You are made for excellence. That act of humanity touched people around the world. A reporter asked Osceola, "What's your dream?" And she said, "I so dearly wish that before I die, I could see the first student who gets my scholarship walk across the graduation stage. But because of my age, I know that's probably not going to happen." And yet 1 month before she died, the first recipient of her scholarship walked across the graduation stage. And after she died, a reporter found this student and said, "Did you hear the news? Osceola has died. Your benefactor has gone. Do you have any comment?" And I've never forgotten what the student said. The student said, "Heaven couldn't have gotten a better angel. She was an inspiration. She was a blessing. And she was a treasure to the entire earth." Norman Cousins once said, "The great tragedy of life is not death. The great tragedy of life is what we allow to die inside of us while we live." I don't think there's ever been a better time to be in business. You're with an incredible organization. You have an incredible opportunity. This is an incredible time. But it falls to you to show leadership and to take responsibility for creating the results. So when you get to the end of your life, you will have lived fully. So before I give you your lunch break, I also want to show you one of my favorite overheads because it's important to have fun. He says, we're looking for an aggressive, persistent salesperson, like, for example, the one who sold you that suit. So you are a fantastic audience. I am having so much fun here with you today. Everyone stand up, please. I will give yourselves a nice round of applause. Give yourselves a nice round of applause.